What's up, everybody? My name is Hazel, and this is why we should destigmatize trap rap. It's a vibe. It's really cool. I just like it because it gives like the rawness and the realness of like people. Like if I'm driving down the highway, Moneybag Yo in there, I'm like, ooh, let me do this 80 real quick. That's my speed, but it's fine. I like trap rap too because it's like, especially where I grew up, like in Brooklyn, it wasn't like the prettiest part. So I think it's just cool to see like people talk about like where they grew up. You got Kodak that's Haitian like me, and then you got like Young Thug that like helped bring everybody up, but you also got Gucci Mane that did the same thing. I think that it just kind of shows too like the collectivity that can come from trap rap. Cause you got like Young Dog working with Key Block and they're doing like a collaborative project. So I think it's really cool, like it just shows like, I mean like we traffic in the community by working together. And it also makes me feel like a gangster. I think that Lil Baby did what he needed to do when creating that song, but I think the only issue is it somewhat glamorizes police brutality because he also performed it at an award show, and it always gets a little weird, at least for me and just in my perception, just like when they do that in concert, like showing police brutality, because it's kind of like, okay, we know that they do that. There's so many recordings out there. Why are you like performing it? But I have to understand that it's art. But I think it's changed over time. I think with it becoming more popular, it's less of a why are you listening to that, more so of a can you turn it on? And I feel like it's not as sacred to us as like how it was in the past, if that makes sense. So I feel like a lot more like people think it's cool to have like face tats and to pretend that they from some hood or to say slack or whatever. When in actuality, like these are real people that live these lives and it's not a joke, you know? And I think that now with social media, with like the billboards and stuff, like Back in Blood being like a super great song, you got little kids singing it, which is cool. But then it's like, do they also know like the context of it? They think it's a cool song because it's on the radio all the time. So I think that it's just got kind of not lost its credibility, but it's getting watered down because a lot of people just think it's cool without really knowing the history of like what trappers do and why they rap about it. Yes. You have people like 21 Savage that build up like foundations to help the community. And like even Young Thug and Gunna, they posted bail for like 30 people. So it can have a positive impact. I just think that people just, especially the media, all we know about the media is like they always take the negative parts and never want to highlight the positive parts. They always want to highlight when somebody dies and stuff like that. So I think that trap rap can have a positive impact if more artists step up. I'm not saying they need to be activists, but just creating spaces and foundations and stuff for people to like excel. But also show like we grew up here, but we can change it. Well, I think a way to do it is just like to educate. Educate, but also still support. Because there's rappers here in the city that are trap rappers and they're fired. So it's like make sure you support them, like going to see them in shows and like listening to their music. Like Polaroid Minion was like a great one, and as well as like Sticks and Faggot. I think it's just like educating them because those are real life people too. History is important and you don't want it to repeat itself. So it's like if you teach people about history and you like emphasize on what needs to be emphasized in history, I think that you can keep the ball rolling to make sure people know like, okay, this is very important. Let's make sure we don't leave this out. But also speaking up for those people too. So if you're in the room and they talking about it, just say like, hey, I mean like this is cool music, because back in the 90s, NWA wasn't like the best group either. FBI was after them. And they're one of the most classy groups because our parents made sure that we knew about them. So I think that we can do the same thing, making sure that other people know about trap rappers and to pass it to our kids and their kids after that. about it all the time. G Herbo came out with a mixtape and he talked about anxiety. You got Moneybagg Yo talking about being addicted to lean. Even, you know, Lil Baby, I think he mentioned it a little bit in the bigger picture. There's a huge correlation to it. They have PTSD. I mean, technically we all kind of have PTSD. They just think about it from their homies getting shot. That's not something that you can just get over easily. Like, you have to heal from that. To parents going to jail or your parents not being there, you know what I mean? Like J. Cole mentioned it too about his dad not being there, even like his mom having a drinking problem. So I think it is a huge correlation, and I think that that's why they use this art to talk about it so that other people don't feel alone. And I think that's dope because I don't think mental health, especially in the Black community, is spoken about enough. It is now, but I hope that people continue to have that conversation because mental health is real. Because even Moneybagg Yo has a song where he calls himself a bipolar Virgo. I don't think that's a good label. But bipolar is a mental health issue that a lot of Black people suffer for, more than they probably cases that are known. So, huge correlation. I don't know, it's hard to think about that. Because I got friends that have escaped it and I got friends that choose not to. I think it's a personal choice. You can be quote unquote product of your environment, but it's a saying that said like, you know you want to change when you're tired of your own shit. So I feel like people of the 21st century can't escape that if they're just tired of the continuous outcome of it. If you keep doing the same thing gonna happen, right? So if you're trying to play this game of life, it's gonna get you. Instead of like working with it, instead of trying to bend it to like go your way. That's essentially what I'm trying to say. So I think that that's the key for like people in the 21st century to kind of like understand that if you gonna keep trying to find like fast things, like fast money, fast cars and stuff like that, you know, you're gonna die young. Like, you know what I'm saying? Die young by doing that. So it's just kind of like figuring out, okay, what is it that you can do to get yourself out of that situation and how can you help other people? Because sometimes too, when you make it out, you got other people that are envious of you, and then that's when like people die in that instance or get caught up. So I think it's just like taking that moment into yourself and realizing that you don't have to be a product of your environment. Just because you live there don't mean you gotta be that person. And if people are like, oh, you're not real, you're not loyal, that's cool because they don't want to see you climb up the ladder. And it's lonely at the top, so you just gotta get up there and just say, all right, I don't want to be the next hashtag or I don't want to be the next RIP. Some instances are unfortunate where it's not seen, so you can't always blame the people. But I think it's just like stepping outside that box and realizing that it's bigger than just yourself